I experienced bullying throughout my middle and high school years, but everything transformed during my senior year. I entered into a relationship with someone who ultimately took me for granted, subjected me to bullying with his large dog, and significantly altered my life after we married. My name is Emmanuel, though I am commonly referred to as Manny. At that time I was 19 years old and, driven by curiosity, I became a target for bullying. One particular bully, Jake, was a tall and slender individual who seemed to intimidate everyone around him. He relentlessly followed me from a young age, leading me to acquiesce to his demands. As a plus-size woman, I embrace my body, which measures 42 inches at the chest, 28 inches at the waist, and 38 inches at the hips. In my earlier years, I grappled with body image issues, and at times, I still do. However, over time, I have learned to appreciate my curves and the woman I have become. My husband, Mark, is my everything. From the moment we met, I felt as though I had discovered my true love, the person with whom I would grow old. He is kind, considerate, and has always treated me with respect, recognizing the essence of who I am beyond my physical appearance. Together, we share a comfortable and predictable life, which I would not exchange for anything. Nevertheless, life is not without its imperfections. As a housewife, I take great pleasure in managing our home, overseeing our finances, and preparing dinner for him each night. I strive to create a peaceful and happy environment for him to return to, and he consistently expresses his gratitude. Yet, there are moments when I feel a sense of incompleteness. The root of this feeling does not solely stem from my body, rather, it is tied to my past, a past I have endeavored to bury and forget. During high school, I was an easy target for bullies, and one particularly large and intimidating dog made it his mission to make my life difficult. He would torment me, always lurking nearby, which left me feeling anxious and confused about why anyone or anything would wish to inflict such pain upon me. The dog had his reasons, and I was merely the awkward, insecure girl who never quite fit in. Time has passed, and I believed I had left behind the shadows of high school. I had moved forward, found love, and begun my life with Mark. I thought I would never have to confront Jake again, but I was mistaken. The past has a peculiar way of resurfacing, even when one believes it has been left behind. It was a warm summer afternoon when I encountered him once more. I was at the grocery store, focused on my shopping, when I heard a voice call my name. I froze, fully aware of who it was without needing to turn around. Jake stood there, accompanied by his large dog, wearing that same smirk I remembered from years gone by. He had not changed much, still tall, still muscular, and still exuding that arrogance that seemed to emanate from him. "Sarah," he said, his voice laced with familiarity. "It's been a long time." A wave of emotion surged within me, anger, fear, and humiliation. I attempted to maintain my composure, but I could not suppress the tremor in my voice as I replied, "Jake," forcing a smile. "What brings you here?" He shrugged casually. "Just passing through. But I couldn't help but notice how comfortable you've become. I always knew you had it in you." His words struck deeper than I anticipated. Despite the years that had passed, he still knew how to belittle me. "I'm happy," I asserted, striving for confidence. "I've moved on. I'm married now, and I have a life." His smile broadened. "Oh, I know. I've seen the pictures. Your husband, Mark, right? He seems like a nice guy." He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "But you know, I remember some things from high school that you might not want him to discover, things I could easily share with him." The color drained from my face, and my heart raced as memories of our past, the secrets I had buried, flooded back. Jake possessed knowledge about me that no one else did, secrets I had hoped would remain concealed forever. "Don't you dare," I whispered, my hands shaking. "You can't do that." Jake's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Oh, but I can, Sarah. All I need is a small favor." I understood what was being demanded of me. I could remain silent, but if you decline, I am certain that Mark would be very eager to learn the truth. A sense of entrapment enveloped me, and a knot tightened in my stomach. What options did I have? My love for Mark was profound. I had constructed a life with him, and I could not allow anyone to jeopardize it. Yet, the weight of the pressure and fear was overwhelming. The mere thought of losing everything was unbearable. After a prolonged intense silence, he spoke once more. "You know what I desire, Sarah. It is quite simple, just one small request, and I will safeguard your secret." I stood frozen, my thoughts racing and my heart racing in my chest. I could not permit him to dismantle my life or expose me, but the idea of capitulating to him filled me with revulsion. I found myself caught in a conflict between my love for my husband and the necessity to shield myself from the disgrace that could ensue. I attempted to walk away, but he seized my arm. "Do not even consider it, you will regret it if you refuse my request. I will ensure that happens." Anger surged within me, yet I recognized that I was not in a position to confront him, not without risking everything. Thus, I reluctantly acquiesced. "Fine, but you must promise to remain silent." His smile broadened. "You will not regret this, Sarah. Trust me." Later that evening, I met him in a remote area of the city. I was filled with dread. I did not wish to be there, nor did I want to bear the burden of the betrayal I was about to commit. However, I felt I had no alternative. He was insistent, and the fear of losing everything loomed large. Jake then forced me onto the bed, warning that any movement would result in violence. Each time he uttered such threats, I felt compelled to comply, paralyzed by fear. I attempted to protest, asserting that this constituted assault, but he dismissed my concerns, claiming it was a kink he relished. What transpired next was a blur, a grave error, a horrific mistake. I felt numb, detached from the reality of the situation. I could hardly comprehend my actions, yet a part of me simply wished for it to conclude. I longed for the fear to dissipate and for the ability to reclaim control over my own life. In the aftermath, the weight of guilt descended upon me instantly. What had I done? What had I permitted to unfold? I had just betrayed my husband, the man who cherished me and placed his trust in me. And for what purpose? To safeguard a secret that was never truly mine to hold. The dog walked away, leaving me with nothing but the remnants of my decisions. He showed no concern for me. To him, I was merely another player in his game, another pawn to manipulate. Now, I was left to confront the repercussions of my actions. I could not bear to look at my reflection without feeling a wave of nausea. The guilt gnawed at me relentlessly. How could I have inflicted this pain on Mark? He did not deserve such betrayal. He was everything I had ever desired, and I had shattered his trust and love. I was at a loss for how to face him again. The shame was suffocating. Days passed, yet the guilt remained a constant presence. Each time Mark gazed at me, I saw the love in his eyes, intensifying my anguish. How could I confront him? How could I reveal the truth? What if he despised me? What if he could never forgive me? The dog kept his promise and did not disclose anything to Mark, but the guilt loomed over me like an inescapable shadow. No matter how hard I tried, I could not evade it. Ultimately, I came to a painful realization: there was no way to reverse my actions. I had made a choice, and now I had to bear the consequences. Yet, this acknowledgement did not alleviate my suffering. I still loved Mark, and I always would, but I had caused him pain, a wound that could never be healed.